Okay, for my next trick, I would like to transplant some chives. Now, for the rest of you really experienced gardeners out there who may have stopped in on this video, it's not really aimed at you. I'm hoping that there are some folks out there who really have hardly ever taken on the job of moving a plant from one pot to another. And I know you're there. So I'm running through this just for you all. But I guess I also want to talk a little bit about chives. The chive is, from my point of view, one of our most underrated vegetables. It grows almost anywhere. It's perennial, so it's going to come back year after year for you. It reseeds itself nicely, so even if it grows old, often new chives spring up from the old one on their own, spontaneously. It has a nice mild onion flavor, and it can be used in place of onions in so many dishes, provided you have enough of them. Now, I know a lot of us probably have a little clump of chives someplace or another. It's typical. But over the years, I've started to develop such a fondness for this plant that a little clump of chives just doesn't cut it for me. I've got a few clumps out in the landscape, and it's still not enough to keep me happy. The chive works in almost everything except for dessert. I mean, you can put it in your eggs in the morning. It's good on a sandwich. Use it in a salad. Put them in soup. Toss them into any place in food where you might have used an onion, and it's so mild that it can be used raw. Also, chives, as being kind of an underrated vegetable, very seldom do we ever see new varieties come around. Well, Johnny Selected Seeds a few years back came up with one called Dolores, and I'm sold. This is one of the most vigorous and productive chives I've ever run across. So if you're looking for some chive seed, try Dolores. I highly recommend it. All that said, let's go about the business. First thing, these chives had been out there for quite a while. They've been on my table in the nursery probably for at least 6 months or more. And because they weren't selling, every time I needed chives on a baked potato, we just came out, we grabbed hold of the chives like this, and we cut them right off. These pots in the nursery have actually been harvested at least a half a dozen times or more. So again, check that out. They look beautiful. I can sell them today, but I ate these for dinner many times in the past. Now, here is the proof that they've been in the nursery too long. Y'all can see on the bottom here I have a mat of roots. Alright, never fear. Chive is an onion, and onions tolerate heavy root pruning. When planting onion transplants, we often cut off half the root at the bottom to get a nice straight bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my gardening knife, and if you don't have one of these with a hook on the end like a linoleum knife, these are really handy because they catch things. So first, I'm going to separate the two pots. Then, so I can get the chives out of the pot, next thing I'm going to do is use the knife to saw off the root mass on the bottom, just like that. There you go. I guess I could rip it off with my hands, right? Every time I pick up a knife and start cutting on anything, I'll have somebody come back to me and say, "Oh, you can do that with your fingers. Let me, you know." Yeah, well, I use knives. They were invented, a few million years ago, probably. All right, so that done. Next thing, we must have containers with soil. And I am using 2-gallon plastic nursery pots for this purpose. Now, obviously, this 3.5-inch potted chive does not have to go into a 2-gallon container. But the 2-gallon container isn't overkill either, since I'm hoping these chives will be in these pots now for at least maybe the next year and a half. We'll see what we do with them after that. But I'm intending to use them right out front in my herb garden. Just as I need chives, I can just dash out the door, whether it's raining or not, cut some of these off, and bring them inside the house. Alright, so, same situation here as with the koa trees. The hand goes like that, and on the bottom of the pot, we give it a good wrap, And it completely refuses to come out. There we go. Got it. Whoa! Whoa. Okay, so that's too much. There's no way. I mean, obviously, yes, these are root bound. Now, what I'm going to do here, the easiest thing to do is I'm going to score this with a knife. You can do it with fingernails, you can do it with a whole lot of different things, but this is going to open that root ball, since the root ball has become literally like a woven basket. And the only way we're going to open that up is by tearing some of the roots, because we don't want the roots to continuously circle. If I was to leave this the way I found it, the roots would just keep going round and round and round and round and round and round. They'll have a heck of a time getting out of this, just like they were trying to crawl out of a bushel basket and they couldn't get out of it. That happens. And now, as I said, some plants tolerate this, some don't. There's a lot of things that you can prune roots. The chive and the onion are definitely one of those plants. This does not hurt them at all. In fact, it's really good for them, so don't worry. Alright, so push that down inside my pot here. Let's get the next one. Got it. Yeah, same situation there. Okay. So, scoring is the simplest way to do this. You can rip them with your fingers. You can do all kinds of different things if you want to. You can try to untangle them. It's all up to you, but, you know, I'm usually got too many things to do around here to get too picky about this, and scoring does work. After scoring, I will often take my fingernails and go like that to kind of pull some of the roots out. When I see roots starting to head out like hair coming off of this, I know we're cool, because then they're going to spread. Alright, there you go. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to use pelletized chicken manure. Looks like that. Because I want my chives to be organic. Alright, and so I'm going to put about maybe a tablespoon and a half. Now there aren't going to be instructions on a chicken manure bag for how much of this chicken poo to put into a chive pot. You're just going to have to use your best. And with fertilizers, you're better off with less more often than a whole lot infrequently. And so the term is weekly. If the fertilizer says put on 2 ounces a month, if every 2 weeks you put on 1 ounce, that actually works better. If every week you put on half an ounce, all right, that even works better yet. So as we say, weekly, do the math, break it down by whatever it says on it, and anywhere in there it works. I'm going to add a little soil into the pot, like that, to top dress the chicken manure and to fill in around the chive. There we go. Okay, just like that. Okay, so there's what it looks like. Transplanted chive. Again, now in chives it's possible you can actually bury them a little deeper than they grew and it won't hurt them, right? But that's not true with all plants. So you're usually best putting things in level. Oh, does that smell good? Alrighty. Aloha, happy gardening.